Okay, good morning. My name is Christina Dillabo. I'm the Director of Communications for the Desert Southwest Conference, and this is Tuesday Talks, a weekly online conversation with church communicators. And today, our main focus is going to be all about Zoom. So I didn't think that I'd be able to actually live show you things on my Zoom app while I'm using Zoom. So what I did a little bit different today is I created a PowerPoint slide deck, and I'm going to go through that in today's presentation. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. And remember to unmute yourself if something comes up, if you have a question about something. So the first item was, how many licenses can a church get through DSC Communications? And there's really no limit. As a pastor or a layperson, maybe a member of your church, anybody could get one of our discounted Zoom licenses. The thing is, they're not meant for individuals to use like for just personal stuff, or if they wanted to get it for their business or whatever. As long as it's for ministry, like if I was the Sunday school leader, I'm not a staff at your church, I'm just a member. That's what I mean by an individual at your church could get one of these Zoom licenses. And either I pay for it, or depending on your church situation, your church pays for it. There is no prorated start time. So if you decide after today's Zoom session, wow, we need some extra Zoom licenses, and here we are in October, it should be pretty cheap for the rest of the year. It's still $120 whether you start the Zoom license in January or you start it in December. I know that seems super unfair, but I guess part of it is because that's not my main job, and it was getting really, really difficult to manage all the different times and when different groups should update. I don't even know how many licenses we do have for Desert Southwest Conference churches and leaders and all that business. It just was really hairy. So I justify not offering a prorated cost anymore, because $120 is dirt cheap. It's 50% off the base license. And yet what you're getting is an enterprise level license. So that means that you have unlimited cloud storage. You can record all your meetings forever and ever, or just for 3 days or whatever. You also get large meetings. So you can have a Zoom meeting with up to 500 people. You also get a webinar license with it. And that alone, I think, is like $400 a month. But through this discount, it's part of that $120 for the year. But the webinar is for up to 500 people. That's included in this license. You also get a toll-free number so people can call in at no extra expense to themselves or to your organization or the conference. It's all baked into that $120 per license. I know there's more bells and whistles, but I'm not thinking of it right now. So I just want to make sure it's perfectly clear that come end of January, everybody will need to renew their license if they want to keep it for another year. And it's $120 for everybody. Doesn't matter if you're conference staff or clergy or whoever, everybody's $120 for the year. So there's no limit. And if your church has 1 or 2 licenses this year, next year you could get 5 more licenses, or downgrade and decide maybe you had 10 licenses and this year you're just going to do 1. You can do that. You just need to let me know when it comes time to renew that we're going to reduce the number of licenses or increase. And this URL up here is the shortened URL of how to get to the form where you would purchase those extra licenses. Questions about that? All right. Next one was, what could happen if you have a license, but your meetings are ending in 40 minutes? Why is that happening? I've heard that a lot. It could be that maybe let's say I'm the license owner And I have a trustees meeting and I have Bible study, but I'm no longer the Bible study leader, but I'm the one with the license. But I'm still on trustees. So maybe I scheduled the meeting for trustees and I already had my reoccurring Bible study meeting, and maybe they're both happening at the same time. Even though I scheduled them, one of them is going to get cut short because you can only run one meeting at a time. If I would have scheduled them both and to try to get around I'm not going to be running them both at the same time, I transferred the Sunday school meeting to be hosted by someone else. If that someone else has a paid license, no problem. It's now on their account, not mine, and I can run my trustees meeting while the Sunday school meeting is running, and nobody's going to get cut short. However, if that other person is not a paid license user, whether it's in the Desert Southwest Conference or on their own, I transferred it to someone that is non-licensed, and the free licenses, those I think still only allow up to 40 minutes. Although I have heard of some occasions where people were able to run their meeting longer. I think that was probably just a quirk at the time, some glitch that happened that allowed them to have a longer than 40-minute meeting without a paid license. So that could be something. What else? This is one that's happened to me. So sometimes, like if I have a meeting, I scheduled a meeting and I sent the meeting invitation to everyone with the URL, and instead of like the meeting ID and the passcode, and maybe I got the meeting reminder just like everybody else that, oh yeah, your meeting is starting in 10 minutes. If I just click on the link to the meeting, it's going to use the Zoom website to launch the meeting. I think on my next slide. So here's what I'm talking about. So if I have like this check-in meeting here, if I was using my Zoom desktop and my desktop app is black instead of white because that's my visual preference, it's easier for me to see that than a white background. But if I launch my meeting through this desktop and I click start, I can see I'm in my Zoom account because I've got my profile picture there. So I'm running my meeting, no problem. However, if I clicked from that URL, it would launch the Zoom website to start the meeting. And let me move this out of the way. Here I can see, because there's my picture again, that even on the Zoom website, I am logged in as myself. But you could have potentially not logged in onto the Zoom website. So if you don't see a matching profile picture, that means that you launched the Zoom website to start your meeting and you're actually not logged in. So you're joining the meeting as a participant instead of the host. That could have been a reason why your meeting ended quickly. So you do need to make sure that if you're going to be using the URLs to join a meeting, whether you scheduled it or not, on the Zoom website, you are logged in with your paid license. Sometimes another situation I've seen in the past is people have more than one email address and have more than one Zoom license with their different email addresses. One may be a free account and one may be a paid one. Just because you're the same person doesn't give you access to both using the same email address. So keep that in mind. Try to have different profile pictures for your different licenses so it's easy to differentiate which one you're in. Questions about that? Yeah.
One question, how do we, I think somewhere in the setup it goes for designate an alternative host, and it will never take any of the email. Does that person need to be licensed also?
Yes, they not only need to be licensed, but they need to be licensed in your same account.
Okay.
So I'm going to show you that in just a little bit.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. All right, let's go back. Here we go. So how to schedule for a meeting for someone else. Here we go. Oh my goodness. There we go. All right. So some of the requirements is you must have scheduling rights to the other person's license if you're going to schedule the meeting for someone else. The two licenses have to be in the same account. So like we've all potentially, if all of you have a license through DSC Communications, you're all a part of the DSC Communications account. All right. So And if you cannot, if you're having a hard time, like I'm not really sure because I'm not the owner of the account. I think I'm the administrator of the DSC communications account, and communications at dscumc.org is the owner. So as an administrator, I can add privileging rights for myself. And I think I can go in and add that on all of our other licenses, give different people permissions to schedule for other people. But I'm pretty sure you should be able to do that on your own. If you can't, let me know and I'll set it up for you. Of course, the other person must also have you listed as giving them permission. So you can see on my screen capture of that little bit, it says here, communications can manage my private events. I also can schedule for communications. So you don't have to have both of these. So let's say, Jim, I'm scheduling for you, but you're not scheduling for me. So I need to have this part with Jim's email address, and Jim has to have this part with my email address. Okay. All right. Questions about this part? Okay. Next one. So how to set up a meeting so that your church team can meet without you. So number one, I want to share about this is, in the perfect situation, everyone has their own license and they're scheduling their own meetings. Zoom, as far as I know, is not policing this, but you really, to be legal and all upright, the people hosting a meeting should have their own license if they are hosting a meeting for more than 40 minutes. Otherwise, if it's less than 40 minutes, they can use the free license. But here's some of the ways that you can set up a meeting so that your church team can meet without you. Oh, darn. There we go. Okay, so first I would need to log in onto the website Zoom account, not my desktop app, because I've got a lot more settings that I can manage through the website. All right, so then I would go to meetings and schedule meeting. I'd put in my meeting information. And here's the first one. If I had those scheduling rights for Jim, I'd be able to do the drop-down menu there and select schedule for and select Jim's name and then finish setting up my meeting. That's the option one. See here, I can select DSC conference communications. Okay, option two, if you scroll down, I'm still in the meeting settings. If I scroll all the way down, there's this options. You have to click on show, and then you get more options now. I can enter an alternate host, but more importantly, here's the one that I want to do. I can allow participants to join anytime. So like this Tuesday Talks meeting, sometimes some of you join before I have, and you're all talking and stuff. I get an email notification to let me know that somebody's already in there, but I don't have to be in here. Technically, you guys could have Tuesday Talk meetings every week without me because you have the same URL. For me, it's a reoccurring URL. So that's important. If you're going to have it be a weekly meeting, it's easiest if you set it up as a reoccurring meeting and then allow participants to join anytime. You're still the host, but you don't have to be there when they start the meeting. Questions about this part? Okay. Next, what happens if you have a license and switch hosting with someone else so you can leave? So that's part of what I think I mentioned earlier. Like if I scheduled a meeting and I transferred hosting to someone else, if that other person does not have a paid license, whether it's in our Desert Southwest Conference account or not, it now becomes a free meeting. It's not part of my meeting anymore. It's just part of a free account. So the meeting could accidentally end early. Also, if I was planning on recording that meeting and I transfer hosting to someone else, I might not get that recording anymore. That other person might get it, and we could lose the recording. So keep that in mind. Does that help everyone? Does it? Good. There's so many other tools that are available from Zoom and new things coming up. I hope to do something like this again, but I don't want to go over stuff that nobody's interested in. So if there's something that you've heard about and you have questions about it, please email communications@dscumc.org. Ask me the questions. I'll do another slide deck and make sure we present it at another Tuesday Talks. So Sherry, had a question in chat. Can another person on the Zoom that you have set up, but you are not on, record the meeting? How would we get that recording? So yeah, yes and no. You would have to allow that recording rights. And at any point, like any of you could go ahead and press record, and you could get a copy like on your desktop or in the cloud. But I think that I would have had to allow that privilege. And then we'd all get that notification. I'm curious though, I don't know if how I've got it set up. So if one of you could try to press record and see what happens, I'd love to find out live here.
Just says, please ask the host to give you permission to record.
Okay. So then that means I would either have to change it in my settings. I might be able to change it live. Let's see here. No, I can't. I would have to have set that up in my meeting settings in advance that anyone can record. All right, next one. William Pasco asks, are willing to send us a PDF document of the slideshow for today? Oh yeah, I will include the slideshow in my follow-up notes. So you got access of it. So it's not a PDF. I could export it to PDF. Let me do that because not everybody has PowerPoint. So I'll export it as a PDF and attach it to today's follow-ups. I don't think that there was anything asked that was outside of what was on the slide deck. So I won't be adding anything to it this time. But again, send me your emails, questions if there's something that you want me to cover down the road. And it doesn't have to be about Zoom. It could be about something else. That's all I've got. Oh, I have tried to share my screen and cast it from my laptop via HDMI to our big screen TV, but it never works. Any suggestions? Oh, okay. So that's something different. And Bob, it's going to be unique to your situation. I will say one thing that's universal when you're trying to cast something from your phone or laptop onto a big screen is all the devices have to be on the same Wi-Fi. That's usually the hiccup, is they're not on the same network, and not just the same network. Like at home, at my house, we have gigahertz something or other, and one of them is 5 gigahertz and the other one's like 2.5. So technically we have 2 Wi-Fi signals. They're part of the same network, but they're 2 separate ones. So if they both either have to be on the 2.5 or the 5 gigahertz, it has to match for me to be able to successfully simulcast onto something. Yeah, Sherry?
I don't know if you have an iPad or an iPhone, whoever was, I guess it was Bob asking that. With an iPad or an iPhone, you can do what's called screen mirroring. And there's if it's an upper right hand, if you drag your finger down the screen, it will show up with a menu that says screen mirroring. And you can actually then project to your television, if it's a smart TV, whatever it is you're watching. So yes, to Christina's point and what she was making, but that's a really easy way to do something without going through a lot of whatever there is to try to do something. It's really easy, like in 2 seconds or less, you can have anything that's on an iPad on the screen with all the sound and all of that is now coming through the television. So if you have a TV set up in your church, that's possible as well. Just to let you know that.
Thank you, Sherry.
We don't. I don't have an iPad. It's mine. All my stuff is Android and Microsoft laptop.
Okay.
So it's and we are on. I'm using a Jetpack at the church, and so it's the same. It's the same Wi-Fi.
Okay. So is your question more about what can you use to be able to do that casting or screen mirroring? Or do you already have a method on your laptop, but it's just not working?
At least according to when I was talking to David Topping about it, I go on, I've got my Zoom and I go to share screen.
Mhm.
I've got the HDMI connected to my laptop and HDMI connected to the TV,
Okay.
and nothing happens. Nothing goes to the TV when I
Okay.
try and share the screen.
I see what you're saying now. Okay. So I'm going to take a quick screen capture of what I get. And I'll share that with you all.
It
And
also
that's
has to do with
that-
it has to do with settings on your computer too. Are your computer settings set up to share your screen? Make sure that when you go into your settings, it says that you can share your screen. That's a setting within Microsoft to do that.
Okay, I'll have to look at that. I wasn't aware of that.
And then I'm going to share this one. So I just took a quick screen capture of the different options I get when I click on, I'm trying to make it bigger. Does that look bigger when I make it bigger? That didn't change?
A little
All right.
bit.
Okay. So when I clicked on the share screen button at the bottom center, I had all these different options of what do I want to share. So watch out for that. Like if I had an extra screen, which is basically what you're doing by connecting a TV screen or a monitor by HDMI, you would have maybe desktop 1, desktop 2, or desktop 1, screen 2. So just make sure you're selecting the right one. And then, wait a minute, that's to share. No, wait, I'm doing something different. That's if you're wanting to share your TV screen into your Zoom meeting. You want to show your Zoom meeting onto your TV screen. Oh, okay. Then that's about extending your display. That is settings, like Ferry said. So I'll do some screen captures of that. Oh, I don't have an extended monitor. I can't do that. You know what? I'm going to be in the office tomorrow, and so I can access a TV, and I'll plug it in with HDMI, and then I'll show you. I do have a Mac, not a laptop, but it's going to. You know, we might have a loaner one.
I've got two. I've got a Mac, but I also have a laptop. Let me look at my laptop and go to the screen sharing options, and I'll send you the information then.
Perfect.
It's just a matter of like clicking something and says, yes, I want to do screen sharing, and it can be now or whenever, but it just gives your computer the permission to share its screen somewhere down the road if you want to be able to do that. So when you click on screen share, it works. It's just a setting. It's easy to do. Let me find it on my other one and I'll send that to you.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank
It's,
you.
you know,
Great.
yeah.
Yep. And then I'll share that with everybody. Thank you so much. Love it. All right. I don't have anything else. Anybody else have something? Okay, then thanks for joining me, and I'll see